proposed business use, and so they did not
Okay,
follow up on that,
I
but
just wanted to check.
correct.
And I'll point out too, there's other businesses, there's other therapists in that building, so it's not like it's a, you know, not an already established use in that location.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, Commissioner Dan.
I move to approve the conditional use application for a mental health clinic at commercial property 3970 North Oakland Avenue, units 402 and 404, based on meeting the conditions stipulated in 535-25C.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you. Our next item.
Just on their Facebook page, it said they moved January 1st, 2019.
I've been very clear they should not be open, correct?
They're just advertising, maybe they're not taking clients, I don't know.
I know Justin went through for initial inspections, and I don't believe they were operating when he went through for initial inspections.
And he went like a couple days ago, they weren't there, else he needed to call them to get in, so.
Yeah.
But
They're creating a buzz.
Media. Okay, our next item on the agenda is discussion and recommendation of a certified survey map for the consolidation of 3 existing lots at commercial properties 402327 North Oakland Avenue, property owner Columbia St. Mary's, Inc. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay. Bart?
This is not a public hearing, so I do not need to read the memo unless the plan commission would like me to. I could generally summarize it. So Columbia St. Mary's Ascension has purchased the former Sendix property and is seeking to establish a clinic within the property. The clinic, or the building awkwardly sits on 3 lots. Per building code, you cannot modify a building within that parameter without having a firewall at the location of those property lines. So in order to accommodate for an open floor plan for the clinic, they've submitted a CSM to remove those property lines. And that's what's before you today. This is a recommendation. The village board ultimately makes a decision on certified survey maps. Per village ordinance 470, land divisions other than subdivisions is how we're treating this. So it is a land division per se because it is a division of land, although it's consolidating the parcels, it's still a division, which is a division by 1 parcel versus 3. So we are, working under those parameters. With that, the Plan Commission has 60 days from the time of application to make a recommendation to the village board. The village board at that point has 30 days to move on their determination. So the Plan Commission could choose to recommend, conditionally recommend, or deny the application. Once again, the village board would make the final decision. So if such a denial is recommended by the Village Plan Commission after a majority of the members of such commission have reviewed the site of the proposed division in the surrounding neighborhood, and such commission has found as a fact by at least a majority vote that a lot or lots resulting from such division would be so at variance in width, area, or shape with the lots in the immediate neighborhood or with the character of the applicable district in which the lot is located, or any ordinance amendatory thereof or supplementary thereto, as to cause substantial depreciation of property values of said neighborhood within said applicable district. So those are the kind of parameters under which the review is taking place in terms of whether or not the lot is at variance in width, shape, in respect to those in the immediate neighborhood, or whether or not the lot is against any current ordinances. So within the memo, I did provide the requirements for the district of B1, and the proposed lot conforms to those standards. So with that, the Plan Commission, or staff also did review the Wisconsin Certified Survey Map checklist to confirm that all of the aspects of the technical requirements were there, and found nothing to be missing. There was an easement at one point that was missing, but it was added back onto it. The CSM was submitted to the Milwaukee County Register of Deeds. They also do preliminary review, and 3 edits were required and have been confirmed on the resubmitted package. So with that, based on the Plan Commission recommendation, the village board would make a decision regarding the application on February 4th. If approved, the CSM would then be recorded by the village clerk's office. staff recommendation, based on technical review, staff has no objections to the proposed application.
Trustee Hunter, are there firewalls in the building currently?
There are not, correct, and I can't speak to how that was permitted or allowed in the past, maybe it just wasn't noted, but it definitely requires a firewall along a property line. It obviously wasn't functioning as a property line, but technically it is on the books.
And how long has the building been there?
It might predate the code.
My understanding is there was an addition to the Sendix. This is before my time, obviously. So I believe that the first Sendix building was the southern half of the building, and then it was added on to. I don't know when the addition took place, but.
So it's just been there on these 3 lots? and
Correct.
it's never cleaned up?
Correct. So, correct.
Oh,
At least 25 years.
yeah, longer than that, I bet.
So in the December 19th, 2018 Register of Deeds, it says review, not fee, not paid.
That was from the village, we didn't pay it. So they reviewed it early while we were waiting for the check to be issued. We have paid it, that was taken care of.
And then my other question, they're not here tonight for me to ask, and I wanted to ask this the first approval, but is this the first time that we're seeing Columbia St. Mary's Inc., a Wisconsin nonprofit corporation, as the entity who we approved a conditional use for?
I would need to look at all of the applications to answer that question. I do not know offhand how they technically applied. I believe the applications would have been within each of the packets provided, so I can definitely look back at that.
I just want to know if their legal entity has changed between the time we approved the conditional use to the time that, and Nathan, the question for you, for legal counsel is a Wisconsin nonprofit corporation non-taxpaying?
There's no straight answer to that. What I can tell you is that there's a whole string of case law that relates to whether or not a clinic, a medical clinic is tax exempt, and a lot of the determinations have been that they are not. My preliminary, I've looked at some of those cases, I've looked at the conditional use application. Again, I'm not a judge, but my guess would be that they probably would not qualify. I don't think that the building that they occupied previously was ever attempted to be made tax exempt, and it was owned by another entity that was related to the entity that was using the space as a clinic. But as a practical matter, though, it won't have any bearing on the consolidation of the parcels, because it's not under 470-11, the review of the plan commission in this particular instance is really limited to whether or not the consolidation will leave it, will create a variance in the width, area, shape, or shape with the lots in the immediate neighborhood as to cause a substantial depreciation in the property value of the neighborhood. So in other words, will this create some monstrosity that's, X amount of square feet next to tiny little lumberwoods that are tiny?
Like much of it?
So, I'm sorry. So that's generally, so really, that status unfortunately isn't really, doesn't really have any bearing on the determination of whether or not they can consolidate.
Yep, I just had the question that's outstanding. We've been trying to contact them to ask them that question, and they have not responded.
And I can try to clarify that before the board consideration. As I mentioned, this is a recommendation to the board, so within that
Great.
information, I can try to answer that question, and whether that's ever changed.
And, they did pay tax in 2018.
That's why I just want to know if this is a new corporation, if it's a newly formed.
And based upon the authority that I've looked at, I don't know that it would make any difference at all, because it's going to depend on the use rather than the ownership. So I really don't think that the name of the corporation, you can't jam the word nonprofit into your name and say, oh, it can't tax us. So I really don't think it matters. And like I said, there was a long list of precedent discussing specifically with medical clinics, and
tell.
Is the firewall provision the only thing affected by the combining of the 3 parcel lots? Any other regulatory?
Nope, that'd be the only thing. So, I mean, they technically wouldn't need the CSM if they put those firewalls in. Everything else would be fine. This obviously just allows them to occupy the building as they propose with their floor plan.
We did have a conversation, I just wanted to check with Nathan. There are easements that have been recorded against this, and they are with old property owner, or no, old owner, which is the tenant of the building, or I guess property owner, used to be Nearings and Ballesteri. So do those easements have to be updated, or they can just run with the land, even
Absolutely.
with different signatures?
They'll run with the land, and if, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's basically the alley easement, that was the tiny little driveway.
Yeah, there's 3. The alley one was the one that I had worked with them to make sure that was on there. They also have a subterranean tunnel and a loading dock easement. So all 3 of those are on the CSM and they've been provided in the packet for your review.
So those wouldn't be affected. It really, the main issue is that a lot of times in a property where there's like one building that might go across a lot line. There's 2 things you can do. One, you can consolidate them for tax purposes only and still leave the legal description the way it is. Or you can try to consolidate them as they're trying to do now, which where you need a certified survey there. And it just makes the property easier to, sell in the future. You don't have to sell it as 3 separate parcels. It's just kind of a housekeeping type of issue. But you're right. I mean, the other thing we have to do is put that firewall in there between 2 properties otherwise.
I noticed the petition for zoning change is blank. Did they actually fill that out and pay the fee? Oh,
They
it's showing
did.
up on mine as blank. Oh, because I downloaded it from the web.
So say mine is filled in.
Oh, okay, so they did, okay.
Correct.
Okay, on the web it came up blank. Well, I'll move to recommend approval by the village board of certification.
I said one point, in reading my suggested motion, I just wanted to point out, so the northernmost parcel is actually part of the PDD.
Yeah.
The Ascension parcel where the building is on is B1, so that would be reviewed under that. With the combination of the 3 lots, I would recommend that the village at some point rezone the northern portion of this lot to be B1 so that the property is all under one zoning scheme. It does not affect current operations because, like I said, they've applied under the building addresses which are under B1. But just for a cleaner map, I would recommend that we do that. So if you'll notice in my suggested recommendation, or suggested motion, I do have condition upon future rezoning, so in case we're gonna,
So could you say that again? I'm sorry. So we're combining lots, but the zoning on a portion of now this combined parcel is not consistent with the rest?
correct. So the current 3 lots, the northernmost lot is part of the PED. I don't understand, I'll be honest, I don't understand why it ever was, because it was never modified per se, it's part of.
So when we were talking about the fire station, Nathan, we always assumed that the rezone would occur with the certified survey map as well. How do you combine a lot with 2 different zonings? Because now there's no lot line to distinguish the difference.
Right, well, it doesn't, none of it violates the zoning in any of the current.
Can't be right.
So when the PED was adopted, my belief would be the PED was adopted with a legal description defining that boundary. So that could remain. I mean, I came from a practice where we had split zone parcels all the time.
Okay.
It was not preferred,
But
and
did
so
you
when
combine
possible, we
them?
cleaned them up.
I'm just saying, because
We
we're,
did not combine them.
so if that's fine, if they're not all combined, but I don't know, I really don't understand how you can combine through a certified survey map 3 parcels, 2 of which have different zoning.
Well, the zoning is totally independent from the legal description. The legal description just tells you that, parcel XYZ 123 is defined by the boundary, so many feet to here and so many feet to there, and latitude, longitude, all that stuff.
Right.
Which is totally divorced from,
So
zoning. You can
somewhere,
do anything.
there's a zoning map that shows
Mhm.
a boundary line that demarks that there's a different, could you bring that to the board?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My guess is my guess is the building was there before the PDD was. So historically, that would have been decades ago. I don't know why they would have done it that way.
I'll also say, I think at the time there was confusion as to whether that third lot was owned by the Light Horse developer or by the Sendix property. And so the first submission of the CSM actually did not include it, and then everyone realized that they actually had all three parcels. So
They actually bought it.
my belief might be that it was rezoned as a PDD under belief that it was part of the other
There
development.
was some sales transaction going on there, and we participated in it somehow.
I can definitely clarify any history of the zoning
Yep.
prior to.
So if
board
we
consideration.
condition the motion on changing
Yeah,
the
why are we
zone.
conditioning it on the zoning? If they're totally separate things.
That's just